Hello again, I am Blunty, getting slowly more and more hyped for the arrival of Monster Hunter Wilds. And as I say these words, that time is a mere 44 days away. 6 weeks, if that makes it feel closer for you. And this month, IGN, regardless of what we all feel about them otherwise, are doing their IGN first branded series of videos on Wilds. And rather thankfully, when they do that kind of stuff, they're pretty free from editorializing, which, this is probably a good thing for IGN. And they have either deliberately, to drive engagement and spreading of the video, as I'm doing today no doubt, or simply accidentally, because they weren't paying attention, actually revealed a new, as yet unknown secret in one of their videos. Another returning monster we've not seen in a few generations of game. Until this video, we had no idea he was on his way. Capcom haven't mentioned it. There's been no clues about it. So, for those of you who consider monster reveals or speculation of spoilery, fair warning to you. We're going to talk about that in this video. Hello again, I am Blunty, and IGN's exclusive coverage has so far included a pair of gameplay-focused videos, unfortunately kind of heavily edited, but featuring two of the new monsters this game is delivering to us and who we have not seen much of in gameplay until now, so that was neat. Also, another pair of single subject videos cut from interviews with the developers themselves, one of which was around how the game has evolved over the years and how they've responded to player feedback. But the one that has just arrived, and perhaps unintentionally delivered this leak, was about the food. Not so much about what the food does mechanically in the game, with the various buffs and effects it can deliver to enhance your hunting, but more so it was about how they made the food look really, really yummy, and how difficult it was to make certain kinds of food look yummy. It is genuinely a pretty interesting video, you should give it a watch. And while the most recent Monster Hunter title, Rise and Sunbreak, had simple dango-based mills which didn't look spectacular, World, the previous game this specific team of devs worked on, was rather infamous for its astonishingly yummy-looking food. And it seems with Wilds, they're devoting at least as much attention and passion to the presentation of cooking and eating. It really is some amazing stuff and a lot of work for something relatively incidental, to the grand scheme of things and what makes a Monster Hunter game so good. But you like to see that level of passion from a developer. It bodes well for the rest of the game, doesn't it? In fact, on my own weekend's streams over on Twitch just gone by, I started a new playthrough of Rise, just to say farewell to the previous Monster Hunter game as the new one looms, and I used a mod to make the usual dango balls into tasty meat chunk treats, to symbolically bridge the gap and ready my digestive tract for all the gloriously juicy meat in Wilds. I'm also doing it without any armor at all for some extra challenge, and I'm using the hunting horn, which was the weapon I first used all throughout my initial playthrough. So I'm calling this run the Naked and Horny Run, because I'm naked and using a hunting horn, you see, because I love saucy puns. And the reason I mention these streams is something I said is now relevant to today's little leak from IGN, because I said this as we first met Becerrius. Also, how silly is it? We got
What seemed like rocks are rocks no more.
we got Becerrius, but never Gravios in this game.
As they awaken,
Everybody was expecting Gravios to be in Sunbreak.
the monster shows its
This
action.
is literally the mature form of Gravios here. Never tear it up.
Both prey and earth
So
are
weird.
shaken.
Now, the reason that's relevant is because if you've got sharp eyes when watching the B-roll in IGN's video, you can spot what certainly seems to be a monster icon for Gravios. I've never fought Gravios myself. He hasn't been in the games since I found my love for them, but for those unfamiliar, he's a very unusual monster in that it's one of an extremely rare type of monster where we first fight a juvenile form of it. And Becerrius here is that juvenile form. It was in Rise and also had one of the cooler looking hunting horns, by the way. Kind of a big stone bass guitar thing. And it was in the original demo for Rise, in fact. The other juvenile forms of monsters include Gormagala as the juvenile form for Shagaru Magala, who we also saw in Rise, well, Sunbreak specifically. Xenojiva is the juvenile form of Safijiva, who we saw in World. So like I said in the weekend stream, it didn't always seem baffling that while base Rise had Becerrius, the juvenile form, neither Rise nor its expansion Sunbreak ever saw an all-grown-up Gravios. And we haven't seen Gravios since 2014's Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which makes one wonder now, doesn't it? Will Wilds flip that script and give us Gravios without Becerrius? Now, I've personally never experienced how different their fights are because I've never fought Gravios. Maybe they feel too similar as a fight, which is why it was missing from Rise and Sunbreak. But I quite like Becerrius, at least conceptually. With its rock camouflage and ability to produce clouds of fire or poison or even sleep gas, you're always a little on your toes with him. It's fun. And I really like his mechanic where, because his outer armor is all rock, it's extremely resistant to damage until, at least, he uses various kinds of fire attacks, which have the side effect of superheating the rock armor, making it literally glow red hot, and thus softening it up in a semi-molten form and producing new weak spots. I think it's a clever mechanic. Overall, though, if I'm honest, it's not a super fun fight, really. Certainly not among my favourites from Rise, and a long way from the worst, too, really. So I'm looking forward to seeing the grown-up form in Gravios in Wilds. And he was, indeed, amongst the list of monsters from older games that I've been hoping would make their way into a modern Monster Hunter, so I can give him a go. On that list also, for the curious, is Congalala, who we know is returning. I also want to find a Duramboros, Gobble, Gammoth, Tetsukabra, mostly because I think they're all neat designs and deserve a next-gen glow-up. Oh, what was the name of that big inflatable shark thing? I always forget his name. That one too. Oh, and Malfestio, because I really, really dig owls. I'm not sure I would enjoy Malfestio's gimmick, and if you know, you know. I want more owls in Monster Hunter. Also, Palomu, who, we had in World already, but I do love that goofy little floof bat. Also from Rise itself, I want to see Wild's take on Tetranadon, because he is awesome. Platypus, turtle, sumo wrestler guy. Love him. Also, more spider and crab monsters just in general. Spiders and crabs. We've got plenty of dragons and stuff. Give me more spiders and crabs. And of course, the one I've seen old schoolers call the rubber chicken, Gypserus, who has a couple of fun gimmicks I've always wanted to see. And the sweet news is, of course, he is in Wilds. And even better, they're putting him in the second beta that we're getting in a couple of weeks' time. So I don't even have to wait for the game to release to fight him. Fun! Anyway, hey, old schoolers out there, who else should I be hoping returns from the pre-5th generation games? Who are your old favorites? Or nemesis? Nemesis. Reckon we're ever going to see Monobloss ever again? Anyway, thanks for watching. I am Blunty. We'll catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there.
Looks useful.